And at this rate, how do they plan to handle the big stuff? Unemployment, the deficit, lots of big issues. David Drucker is a political reporter for Roll Call, and he joins us now with more. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Heather.
So some nice work if you can get it, right? What was it, 5 days in the Senate, 11 in the House? Who is doing the work of the people?
I should only get so many days off, right?
Exactly.
Look, I think all kidding aside, I actually want to go the other way on this and say that as the old cliche, quantity is not quality necessarily. It's not necessarily important for members of Congress to be in town every single day, all month, legislating and holding committee hearings. I think Americans should be more concerned about the end product. And there is a value to being home in their districts and states, actually talking to their constituents and businesses about what the problems are and what people actually want. Sometimes when government spends too much time in session, they look to do things and look for problems that aren't there to justify the work that they're undertaking. So this isn't necessarily the way to look at it in terms of being in Washington equals solving problems.
And we should say they did take a break after the shooting of Gabby Giffords. But let's talk about what they've done.
As well.
Yeah, let's talk about what they've done so far, though. The House voted to repeal the health care law. Senate voted against the repeal this week. There was the vote to end taxpayer financing of presidential campaigns. Also, they changed the Senate rules to provide more transparency. Not a whole lot done. Is that an indication of things to come?
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of what happened in the first month of the year was the new House Republican majority and a reconfigured Senate with the members who lost and the new members who won, kind of figuring out what they were going to do in terms of committees and what their priorities were going to be. They were still sort of working out what it is that they're going to be doing the rest of the year. I think you will see in the months ahead them spending a lot more time in Washington, actually, doing a few things for people that are concerned about how much time they're in the nation's capital versus at home. I think just the first month was a period of transition, and I'd say that, you touched on what happened in Tucson, Arizona in January. That played a big part in why Washington seemed to be very quiet in January. There were a number of things planned for that week that had to be delayed, and then everybody was sort of tiptoeing around whether to be too political or not. And I think Congress is starting to get back to work. The Senate has sort of figured out its situation in terms of how it wants to run things. And so I think that you'll see a lot more activity in Washington, that January was a special case, but I still stand by the fact that just because they're there, it doesn't mean they're going to solve problems.
But David, you said that they're spending time trying to figure out exactly how to handle things. They're getting paid to spend that time, about $174,000 a year. If I don't do my job, I don't get paid. Why are they different?
Right, but part of their job is to actually spend time at home doing work that is home-based. We have this idea that as a member of Congress, you are only doing your job when you're in Washington, and when you're not there, you must be on a beach somewhere kicking back with a drink, and that's simply not the case. And I only know this, by the way, because I have actually, on campaign trips and for other reasons, gone into districts and trailed members of Congress around. And it's a very busy schedule. Look, I'm not sticking up for them. They make plenty of money. I don't feel bad for them. But they actually spend a lot of time at home working, meeting with people, learning things that they then take back to Washington and use as a part of the legislating process. So it may be out of sight, out of mind on our TV screens in terms of the Capitol Dome and all of that, but the truth is when they're home, often they are working. And like I said, in the months ahead, you're going to see them spending a lot more time in Washington than they were in January. But with a new House majority and a reconfigured Senate, there was organizational work that had to be done, I think, before things could really get off the ground. And that thing in Tucson really delayed things.
Well, and as we wrap this up, just very quickly, they need to increase those poll numbers and at least appear to be doing their jobs. How can they get the American people behind them? Because the latest poll numbers, 25% of the public, they just don't give the Congress high marks. So what can they do to change that?
Yeah, they can't really do much. What's going to change that is unemployment going down, people feeling more secure about their financial situation and the direction the country is heading. And that's simply not something that I think Congress or the president can really do, even though that they can put policies into place that can help affect that. But essentially, until people feel better about the country, and particularly the unemployment situation, Congress is going to be, people are going to feel lower about Congress than they do about people like me.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Nice insight, David.
Thank you. Good to be
Well,
here.
police now say they are searching for 2 suspects connected to a deadly shooting at a fraternity house very close to Youngstown University.